Metal on metal. Clink, clink, clang. There was a sizzle as the heated piece was submerged into water. My movements were slow and careful. I was oiled head to toe in blood. It dripped from me onto the stone steps. Clink, clink, clink. The hammering continued. The sound grew louder as I descended further. The air was becoming steadily warmer. I reached another door. Not wooden like the others, but more like an iron prison gate. Still, no knobs or handles, no keyhole. Beyond the gate, I observed a hazy stone chamber, lit by a faint reddish glow. A large figure hammered rhythmically onto a piece that they held steady on the surface of an anvil. Sparks danced around them with each strike, as ambers escaped from burning coals. I placed my hands on the gate and it slowly cracked open. Another sizzle. I inched closer as the figure drowned the object in a stone tub. The gate drifted, shut, behind me. A bit closer and I could see in the glow a broad-shouldered man dressed in rags, dirty with soot and sweat. His hair long, like all the others, but thinning on top, blondish in color. He brought the object up for air. It dripped red. A blacksmith that cooled his creations in blood. He tossed it onto a pile of similar pieces. I looked around and did not see any obvious way out of the room and down to the next level. I opened my mouth to speak, but hesitated. I did not know if this was friend or foe. "I need to get to the next level," I said. I ditched hello, excuse me, ahem. This didn't feel like the type of place for any of those. The hammering abruptly halted as the man quickly pivoted to face me. He had a long beard like the rest. Something I came to assume was a reflection of how much time they had been imprisoned. He was wild-eyed and looked as if he were both startled and angered by my intrusion. "Who are you?" he grunted. His hammer trembled beneath a white-knuckle grip. I held my hands in front of me to show that I did not mean him harm. "I just need to get down to the next level." He raised the hammer and stomped toward me. "I asked you a question!" I flinched and stumbled backwards. "Nate! My name is Nate." "Why do you need to get down to the next level?" he asked, his hammer still firmly gripped. I need to get out of here." His eyes became less wide and his brow narrowed. "And you think the way out is down?" He lowered the hammer and coughed out a laugh. He turned back toward the forge. "There is no way out." "He calls for me." The man stopped moving. He spun around to face me again. "And you've chosen to answer his summons?" "I'll be trapped in here otherwise." "Do you not fear that a worse fate may await you?" I had considered it. I knew that the one responsible for this nightmare could be nothing less than pure evil, but I needed to know why he called for me. I needed to know who he was, and most importantly, I needed to try and get back to Hannah. Even if that meant traveling to the depths of hell to get my ticket back to the surface. I nodded. "It's a chance I'm willing to take." The man sighed a low grumble. "Then I wish you luck, Nate." He turned to his forge and continued his work. I still had unanswered questions. Who was this man? What was he forging? Why was he doing it? And how was I going to get to the next level? I moved behind him and peered over his shoulder as he brought the hammer down on the object. He was making the blade of a sword. "Why do you make those?" I asked. "I dream of battle," he answered as he struck the blade again. "Will you use these blades?" "It is a cruel punishment for a warrior to be given the means to prepare for a war that he cannot fight." "Then why do you do it?" The man stopped hammering. "Do you not hear it?" We stayed still without moving or speaking. I heard the crackle of the heated coals, the beating of my own heart, the breathing of the powerful figure in front of me. But there were other sounds, distant but present nonetheless, ones that made my blood run cold. Frantic voices of men fighting a losing battle. Others cried out in excruciating agony. The ripping of flesh and the snapping of bones, the metallic clang of fallen blades, and the ravenous snarl of something inhuman. "The beast cannot be bested. Not by man. That is their punishment. To fight a losing battle for eternity." I now understood. He worked the forge to drown out the horrible sound of endless defeat. But the pile of blades was smaller than one would expect. "Do they use weapons down here?" The prisoner struck the blade with more force. "Yes," he struck it once again just as hard. "The weapons that you make?" Sparks flew as the prisoner brought the hammer down on the blade with all of his strength and frustration, causing the head to break free from its wooden handle. His gaze fell to the floor and his shoulders slumped. "Those which I forge are gathered by his demons, and given to my people to hopelessly wield." Why do they continue to fight if there's no hope of winning? "It is all they have." I wondered why someone so drained of hope wouldn't just use the blades he made to kill himself. Can nobody die in this tower? "We cannot be killed by any man, nor can we succumb to age or illness. But of those who we were once equal to, we are vulnerable. We have always been able to kill each other, some more easily than others. Those days have ended, though, as we are no longer equals. That which made us so has been taken away from us. They can kill us, but we cannot do the same to them." "And they choose to resurrect those they kill, for the sake of eternal torment?" The prisoner nodded. "I want to help end this," I said. The prisoner laughed. "You're just a man." "But I am able to descend the tower freely." "And what is your point?" "I will look for Eden." The prisoner's expression grew sober. His eyes narrowed. "What do you know of Eden?" "The man above says that she holds the key." The prisoner glanced briefly at the stone ceiling. "And what does this man look like?" "He was old and gray, and missing his right eye." The prisoner's jaw tensed. "My father." He exhaled and relaxed a bit. "How is he?" "He helped me out of a pool of blood into his rowboat. He spoke of you and your brothers. Said he hasn't seen you in a long time." The prisoner nodded and changed the topic. "Eden's apples are what gives us our strength and vitality. Without it, we become weak." I looked at the large, muscular figure in front of me. "You do not look weak." "I am only as strong as a man now." Other prisoners do not look as healthy as you. I eat what I am given, and I work the forge. That is the only reason I do not look as they do. What food are you given? The prisoner was silent. His eyes flicked momentarily toward the floor, but his gaze was distant. I understood. How do I get to the next level? I asked. He regained his focus. There is a door in the floor. He crossed over to a large stone hatch, barely perceptible aside from the faint outline. I cannot open it. I nodded. I can. I knelt down and placed my palms against the door. It began to vibrate and then slowly open, revealing a narrow spiral staircase. I stood up. I suppose you won't be joining me. The prisoner smirked. I wish I could. I reached out to shake his hand. He gripped mine and pulled me close. My father is correct about Eden. However, her apples do nothing for a man. He pulled me even closer, seemingly staring into my soul. But I can see now that you are more. I didn't know what to say. I was just a man trying to get back to his wife. He released me, stepped over to his forge, then grabbed something and brought it back over. He held out a magnificently crafted sword, one that was different from all the others. The prophets always said you'd return, but I had begun to doubt them. He handed me the sword. I made this for you long ago. I took the sword from him, and in my hands it felt right. I don't know who you think I am, but thank you, I said. Before that blade can be useful, you must find Eden's apples and eat one. Then you will become as you were. I stepped down onto the stairs. I could hear the chaos below. I tightened my grip on the sword. If he summons you, then his beasts and demons will not harm you. But once you eat the apple, they will try, said the prisoner. Then why bother eating it? You must eat the apple if you are to have a chance. I nodded and reluctantly continued down the steps. They began to vibrate as the stone hatch started to slide shut above me. I quickly stopped and turned to the prisoner, who was still watching me. Wait, I said. What is your name? He peered down at me through the shrinking gap, and at the last moment said, My name is Thor.